This video will cover pretty much what my friend and I went through over the past couple of years to really get this tough break Camaro, as we call it, to where it's at today. So that story, it really starts in February of 2022, and that's the trip to pick it up from Ohio.
Well, here we go. Starting the trip back. Just leaving Seymour now. We got the fresh ripper. About to be anyway. Well, we got a solid at least 6 hours to drive. Let's see how she goes, bud. Well, we just stopped and got some fuel at the Loves here. First fuel up here. We only got one more till we get back home. We'll see. There's Christopher right there. He's got the little ripper. He has no idea I'm even filming. It's kind of funny. He'll figure it out. He's really enjoying pulling that trailer. He's having fun. Well, off to the races we go, back on the highway. Probably got another 5 hours still. Well, here's hoping for smooth sailing. Well, we just pulled over. The weather has increased in slickeriness. So Chris hit a bridge and then his truck downshifted on him, and then the rear end got loose a little bit, so shook the trailer, and I recommended pulling over and putting it in four-wheel drive. So just got done doing that now. Shouldn't have that much of an issue anymore, hopefully.
Yeah, my friend and I, we brought the car from Ohio all the way back to Iowa. So I was just in an apartment at the time, so he had the shop space, and that's where the Camaro was for a good while. So yeah, the first step really from there was just tear it down and see what we had in the car. I mean, there are a lot of questions, but yeah, basically we got it down to the body, like nothing else was really there. And unfortunately the cage, it was bad, so would never have been certified, and so we even had to start from square one on that too. Once we got the car torn down, I mean, it didn't take long for us to get a hold of a LS short block. It was a iron block LQ4, so 6 liter. And so with that, I mean, it was honestly a pretty solid start.
Brought it back. Front end came off of it. K-member came off of it because it was the wrong K-member. Sick. Which is over here. It's got a couple deals we need to get off of it. Need the spindles and the brakes and everything, and the rest of that you just go to whoever wants it. It's an LT K-member and we need an LS K-member. We got the rear end out, obviously. That was nice. Apparently the calipers have been shaved to fit 15-inch tires, wheels and tires, like a drag pack deal. And but I don't know, it looks kind of sketchy. I mean, what is that? What is that? I don't know. That's gonna be addressed. It's also nice to see that the vent thing was gone. I'm sure nothing got in there. I'm sure that's perfectly fine. But the cage in this thing was kind of questionable. When we picked it up, the welds weren't the best, and the front door bars and down bars weren't plated by where you put your feet. So we just decided to say, hey, we'll just cut out the halo and the down bars by the A-pillars and make it like a 10, an 8-point cage, and deal with that. Then I started looking at the welds, and there's already grind marks in the bars that are there before I got there, because the guy tried to make his welds smooth. Not ideal. You're supposed to weld it and forget it. So I decided to just call it quits on that, and I just ripped out the rest of the cage. Those plates aren't even 6x6, and I believe they have to be no matter where they're put, so that's nice. As you see, it's not really welded completely, and it's not good at all. So yeah, in the process of taking those out, got the main chunk out of it. We got the dash out of it. All the wiring looking kind of crazy. Looks kind of unfortunate, but that's fine. I'm sure that's fine. But I mean, the car's pretty solid. Doesn't have any rust. But there's the cage that came out of it. Sick. As you see, the welds are just, you know, outstanding. They look amazing. And the halo that went above the driver and then down bars, I mean, that's what we got. He didn't even weld the top with his questionable. I mean, look at the gap, the fitment on that pipe. That is atrocious. I mean, driver's side's the same way. It's just atrocious. So that is not ideal. But we shall put a new one in and call it golden. Yeah, we got the K-member out. Gotta get a new one of those. It's on its way. And then, yeah, we picked up a motor for it from a buddy, a guy at work. He had. It's a 6-liter LQ4 deal. Should be decently low miles. Don't really know. He doesn't really know, but short block, no cam. Working on figuring out what I want for that. It's got a 3rd gen Camaro oil pan on it, I was told. So I don't know if that's gonna fit with the tubular K member or not. We'll have to see. Probably not. But he picked it up. Got it ready. Trying to find some 317 heads for it that are kind of close. I don't have to drive, you know, 3 hours away to pick them up. That would be nice. But when we picked up the motor, Bob also gave us some extra accessories to go with it. So we got like a power steering and a harmonic balancer, AC. Don't know if we're gonna need that or not. We got 2 water pumps. I believe he told me this is like a drive assembly for a Camaro or a Corvette. So we'll see how that has to fit or not, whether it is or not. I'm not sure. Got the transmission, a trans cross member over there, drive shafts, rear bars for the axle. Yes. So that's kind of where we're at now with the thing. Kind of waiting on parts. And I still have a bunch to do as for wiring and removing the rest of the cage, getting it ready to weld in an actual decent cage. But I don't remember the last thing I filmed on the cage was, but it's pretty much completed, minus the door bar kits. So we got our down bars and everything in the back. Got our door bars in, got them all welded. Got our harness bar, kickers, plates, got the front plates mounted in there. I just gotta get the kits for the removable door bar part of the deal. But as we were finishing that up and doing all that, me and Chris went around and, well, mostly Chris, went around and welded in all the holes and spots and stuff that were made in the car from the previous owner and stuff, and cleaned it up. And I put holes in the trans tunnel so I can get to the bolts in the transmission easier. But after I put everything in there, they're really not hard to get to from the engine bay or on the ground. So I think that was a little unnecessary, but I guess it worked for them. Oh well.
Yeah, so the original K-member, we couldn't really use it. It was just for a different setup, different interfaces. So we had to go with the aftermarket Spoon Performance K-member. And so we got like control arms and everything. And with that, just fit checking the block, we had pretty good clearance to like the firewall. We didn't have to modify much there. And the cowl was already cut out of the car from the previous owner. So the intake didn't really have too much of a problem there either. But with the oil pan, we did have to switch to a batwing style just for just ground clearance. So that's basically out of a Corvette, and so that worked out great with the K member. It wouldn't have worked with like the stock. And then with our Turbo 400 behind, the mount that we got from the guy that had the car had to be modified for the Turbo 400. And yeah, I mean, from there, got the heads decked and got onto the engine rebuild. So here's my buddy. He's just starting to gap the rings, and that was a bit of a tedious process. So with the sort of boost we were making, we want to make sure we are safe. So we got all new rings and just reused the connecting rod and pistons. So yeah, with that, I mean, we're trying to make the most out of what we had and not throw too much money into it. So like for some of this stuff, if we wanted to run just higher boost, we could get just better, basically a whole set of new rods and pistons, and we could play around with the compression ratio if we really wanted. But yeah, with that, for what we're doing, the LS bottom end is actually pretty good for 15 pounds. So, but yeah, I guess once I get to the track, I'll see.
Okay, quick recap. It's raining. Probably can't hear the best. But we got the pistons kind of sort of cleaned up with the new rings gapped and put on stuff. So wouldn't mind not having to do that again, or for a little while. That was kind of a tedious process, but now we got this sitting here ready for the pistons to go back in, which is the plan now. So we're going ahead and do that right now. But everything looks all right. Rings went on all right. Didn't have too much of a problem there. But yeah, can't wait to get this thing together. Time to put in these darn pistons. Hopefully all that goes spectaculous. Oh well, here we go.
So yeah, with the heads, we got ARP head studs, and we just used the 317 heads. I think my friend mentioned earlier. And so cathedral port, and yeah, I mean, keeping things stock. We put just new valves or valve springs in it, and higher lift rockers. So the cam, it was I think like 634 lift intake and like 605 lift exhaust. So like we were trying to hop it up a bit on the top end, make sure it could support just the sort of boost and power that we were trying to make. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, the heads that we got flow pretty decent. So yeah, with that, we have overheated it quite a few times. So I definitely recommend the ARP headsets. No issues. So after the engine was put together, then it was onto the turbo. And we had a pretty nice kit. It's a hooker exhaust manifold, so it has a crossover and then directs all the flow from both sides up front. And then we just had a short pipe to the turbo. And the cold side wasn't too bad. I mean, we had quite a bit of space just with the radiator pushed up quite a bit just in the core support. And we put a pretty big intercooler on it just to make sure that has no issues. And yeah, I mean, we were making progress. Yeah, with the rear end, we completely replaced it. So got a quick performance 9-inch rear end. We went with 35 spline axles with the 5/8 drag studs. And so with that, I mean, really it was just making sure that from the engine back, like we wouldn't have an issue with how robust the parts were. And the rear end on the car, it wasn't too bad overall, just using the just standard F-body mounts. But with the torque arm, we got it aftermarket, and we got a mount for it, and so it bolts up to where it needs to on the body. But for some reason, it hung really low under the car, and it was a pretty big problem. So my friend had to cut it and modify it so that it gave us just better ground clearance. So we got like extra, I want to say like 2 inches of ground clearance, which was pretty crazy. Like just buying a part that should have been just fine. Yeah, so as far as the exhaust, I did try to make it quieter. And the problem with this is that the turbo's up front. And so, because the turbo's up front, there's not much space for exhaust to go between the engine and the shock towers. And so in that sense, it had to go under the cross member, and which is just honestly terrible. I don't recommend it at all. And so to combat that, I tried to just neck it down to 3 inch, hoping that this would be acceptable for just cruising. I mean, I know it's too restrictive for what I want to do at the track, and I had the other 4 inch pipe that my friend made anyway. But yeah, I mean, this was a learning lesson. So I'd say that yeah, for turbo LSs, do not go just small on exhaust. Like it needs to breathe, and that's one of the fatal flaws that led to one of the major issues and reason for rebuild. Another one of the problems that we faced was transmission that we got is basically off of Facebook Marketplace, had built internals and reverse manual valve body. And with that, when we first got it, it didn't have reverse. So we only had forward gears, and good thing my friend's shop had a back door too, so we could just continue to drive out. But we had the transmission out, I think, must have been 3 times total, and we kept taking it back to the guy just to fix it. And eventually we got reverse working, and but man, it was a process. I mean, we're pulling the transmission just with the car on jack stands. It's not fun. So once we got the car running, we had many overheating instances, and just we had some really just bad parts. Like we had our thermostat that wouldn't open. We blew our radiator hoses. We actually caused a fire with glycol coolant getting on the exhaust. We had just all the fun. And so with that, through our trials, we eventually got it to where the coolant temp would be stable. I think we had to replace like the radiator fan. The brand new one was just bad, and then the water pump, and but yeah, I mean, we got coolant temp to stabilize somewhat. And so at that point, I was driving it for about an hour, and I was getting on it. I was using the right pedal. And with that, I'd wait for like coolant temp to recover. But then the problem was that the oil temp was not recovering, and so I never actually lost oil pressure. And it's just towards the end, after a good rip, I did notice it was lower on decel than it was before. I think it got into like the teens. So like again, like it's still double digit, but it was a little bit noisier. And so with that, I changed the oil and took it out again, and that is actually when it spun the rod bearing. So on the oil change, like I got it out, got it up to speed, and then yeah, it had some issues.
Let her eat. I've heard enough.
I figured.
I'm not answering who's knocking on that door.
No. Well,
Gee, dang it.
did I do a good one?
You did a thing.
So yeah, after that experience, we tore into the car and just discovered that yeah, it was bad. Spun the rod bearing. All the bearings were hurt. Debris all over the oil pan, and yeah, it was pretty disheartening. But yeah, it's just we've been working on the car for so long, and I just was so happy that I can get it out on the road. And yeah, I probably took it too far, used the right pedal too much. Wasn't thinking as clearly as I should have. But I mean, when I brought the car back, I knew I heard it, but I was still smiling. Like it was just honestly just part of the experience. So with that, I mean, just got the car uh, disassembled, ordered some new parts, and it actually sat there for about a year. I mean, it was. It, it kind of hurt, like just seeing it in that state, and so uh, uh, it was 2024. I got a new house. I focused on that for a while, and then it was probably about a year after I broke it that I got back to it. And so it was like September of last year, and I just spent a long weekend with my friend. We both put about 30 hours each into the car and just got it fully together. And I mean, new bearings, new oil pump, new used crank, and the cam was actually in pretty decent shape, and it seemed like the turbo was fine. So like, yeah, we just did what we could, and then did like some extra oil changes right off the bat just to make sure it cleared out a good bit of the debris. And yeah, I mean, it was in the same shape as it was before, so like we didn't make the improvements yet, but it was at least running, and I just knew that I needed to be careful with it. So I did take it out. I got tires for it, and just it was pretty cool at the time in the fall, so it wasn't having too many issues with temperature, but I basically just didn't get on it at all and that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean it was at least back together, and then I brought it back to Indiana. So now that I had the house, I was able to store it, and then I did trailer it to the work car show, and it did pretty reasonable. Like I drove off and on in the trailer, and just brought it back home, and it sat there over the winter. I didn't really get back to it until March of this year, and that's when I started doing all the improvements. So starting early this year, the first step was just put a pusher fan on the radiator just to help along with the puller, and so I had to start moving around some of the mounting. Test fitting the radiator with the fans and everything, and then I do have the relays like temporarily. Don't look at it. Um, so basically, with the ground here, I can do the fans independently, or both of them if I can situate it. So yeah, not bad. So after testing the fans, there just was some fabrication, so I had to put a flat piece across the top and kind of re-support the hood latch, and then move the trans cooler mount over and make room for the oil cooler. So yeah, with that, I mean, I was using the tools I had. I had a acetylene torch, so I just ugly, but it works. So on the oil cooler, it did require an adapter at the block, so I can get the in and out, and then plus the turbo line there that you see. And so I mean, it worked out pretty good. And oil cooler is right in front of the pusher fan, so like it should be a lot happier now. And this is just with the intercooler back on it, wiring cleaned up so you don't see that rat's nest that was there before. After testing with the original exhaust again, just seeing if the cooling package, an oil cooler and all that helped. I mean, it did, but coolant temps were still a little higher than I wanted. And so with that, I went back and just took off the exhaust and put the 4-inch pipe out the bumper back on. And I also put some sheet metal on the top and bottom of like the in front of the radiator just to force more air through, and took out some panels on the shroud on the other side of the radiator to just have it be less restrictive. So after that, I mean, the car, I mean, I also added some more fuel, just a richer AFR in the tune. Just all around, I just want it to work better, and yeah, now it's been doing great. Yeah, there are a variety of other things I did to the car just early this year, but one of the more beneficial ones, as well as just the cooling package rework, was just power boosted brakes. And with that, it was just a manual master before, and it had to put quite a bit of force in the pedal. And so I just wanted to make sure that I had enough brakes to go with the power that I wanted to put down. So I also updated the rotor and pads on the front to more performance spec, and then the rear they're already drilled and slotted, so I just kind of kept those around. After all those improvements, it really just came down to get the car out and just test it. So I put 700 miles on it this year so far, and it's been doing actually really great. Like I haven't had any major problems. All the updates that I made to it are working, and I took it easy initially, but I've definitely gotten into it a good bit. So yeah, I have some data showing the old 100% throttle and wastegate's working just fine. And so it's just a low boost for the street. And then it's also a grocery getter. So took it to work, gave some coworkers some rides, and yeah, I mean, really, it's just been a great time after that.